So we were recently visiting some family on the East Coast, and I decided to go on a little treasure hunt in the basement at Amanda's dad's house. So I've been on the hunt for an old film camera to shoot with, just as a little side project, and I found some cool options down in the basement, along with some expired film. I really like this little pony camera. It's all mechanical, simple, easy to use. I love the viewfinder on this old German camera. And then some of these Kodaks were really cool to look at and tinker with, but probably a little too old for what I'm looking for. They're just... It's too much of a challenge for me. I'm just looking to shoot some fun rolls of film. So after a little bit of research, I decided to go with this little Pony 135 Model C. This is a camera that Kodak made back in the 50s. I think they stopped making it in 58. So it's pretty old, but everything seemed to be working, and I just wanted a camera that was still familiar to me, but a bit of a challenge. So this thing has no autofocus, no light meter, definitely a challenge to shoot with, but pretty fun. And so I loaded this up with some of that expired black and white film and started shooting. And action! This is the very first photo I took with the Pony camera. You can see I didn't wind it enough after loading the roll, so this whole side on the left had been exposed to light, but I actually like how this composition works out. It doesn't cut off any of Jamie, and I've seen other photographers compose with this burn, so I'm actually pretty happy with how this came out. I like it. So this is the second shot I took, and this is actually probably my favorite photo from the whole roll. I just love the black and white tones, simple composition, looking out over the water. Got the focus right, and yeah, I was pretty happy with this shot. So this is one of the challenges of shooting with this camera. You can't tell if you're in focus or not. It has distance readings on the lens, and you just kind of guess at your distance, and that's what you set your focus to. So after the shoot with Jamie, we spent some time at my parents' house. I was pretty casual about shooting this roll. I took photos that I might not normally take on film just because I wasn't even sure if this camera was working, and I just wanted to get through a roll and see the results. So after getting my first roll back, I can see that this camera has some light leaks, and right now I have another roll in here and I've taped it up around all the cracks. Once I finish up this roll, I think I might try and I'm going to look at the inside and see if I can tape up the interior so that it functions like normal and I don't have to tape it every single time. So hopefully that works out. I always loved springtime in Virginia. It was so green and dense, and we've had a long winter here in Salt Lake, and so I was pretty happy just shooting a lot of the full trees and the colors, even though you're not getting that color on black and white film. Just the light coming through the trees really caught my eye. So after a few days in Virginia, we had to go to West Virginia for a client of mine. We stopped on the way to do this short little hike, and I really just liked the way this path cut through the trees here. And then at the top of the hike, we had this beautiful overlook, and I went through a couple more shots on this roll of film. Hikes like this just remind me a lot of my childhood growing up in these mountains. This is our hotel room in West Virginia, and after this West Virginia trip, we went back to Connecticut to Amanda's dad's place. And we did a little more treasure hunting in the garage.
That one says old cameras. It's like a moldy box. I don't think there's cameras in there.
Yikes.
It's a moldy box.
I am now covered in spider webs. There are old cameras in here. So in the second box of cameras, I found this little Bolsey camera, which is an old rangefinder camera, also from the 50s. And everything seemed to work on it mechanically, so I thought I might as well test this one. So I cleaned it up, brought it back home to Salt Lake, and I loaded it up with some Kodak Gold film. And again, I wasn't really sure this camera worked, so I shot this roll pretty quick just to get some results and see if everything was working. And I'm happy with how they came out. I like shooting Kodak Gold. I did notice that this camera, even as I was shooting it, the shutter has a very long travel, and so some of my images came out a little blurrier than I had hoped. I think it's just something to keep in mind moving forward. I have to be very, very careful with how I press the shutter on this camera. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the results. And then these are the last few shots on that roll of Kodak Gold. This is after a shoot I did for a friend of mine up in the mountains. I pulled out the film camera and I just thought I'd get a couple more shots to finish out the roll. And this photo here of Hope and Brandon was the last shot on the roll. So after getting through 2 rolls of film, I'm definitely hooked. Shooting film has been just such a different experience than what I'm used to, and it really slows me down. And it's just it's a completely different style of photography that I really am enjoying. I'm hoping I can fix the light leaks on this camera because I really prefer shooting with this camera. The controls are just easier to use. The shutter speed and the aperture kind of click into place so you can feel your stops. This one's fun to shoot because I can actually check my focus with the rangefinder, but the controls are just very, very hard to get right, and the long shutter travel led to some kind of blurry photos, so I'll probably still shoot with both. Right now I have another roll of black and white in here, and I have Kodak Gold in here. I think from now on I'll probably take my time getting through a roll. I'd say if both of these are loaded up, it'll probably take me a couple months to get through them. But I'm definitely enjoying the process, and it's something I'm going to keep doing into the future. If you want to see more adventures in film, comment below, and I'll see you in the next video.